What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Dogecoin today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. We're going to talk about some short-term stuff and then some long-term stuff, so let's get into it. Looking at the daily time frame here, 32.1 cents. We haven't moved a lot over the past 4 days now. I mean, we have moved all the way down to 26 cents, all the way back up to 35 cents, and now we're back down here at 32 cents. But on a closing perspective, really we've just been moving. We've been hanging out down in this area here. So if we look at the daily RSI, you've cooled way the hell off. You went way overbought and now you're oversold. You got some higher lows in your oversold zone, a little bit of bullish divergence going on here, but it's just a little bit, right? The last time you were oversold was down here at the end of August, or the beginning of August, I should say, and that was your relative low, your most relative low here. So the last time you were oversold, you found your relative low, you had a very big wick to the downside here, you're potentially at a relative low, pretty big wick to the downside. It might make sense, right? From a relative low to a relative high, reached for the 382, but you couldn't quite get there. It might actually even be more appropriate to take this high. Maybe that is the more appropriate high. Couldn't quite get to the 382. It is very possible that Doge could see 24.2 cents or even a little bit lower before it decides to move up higher. It is possible, but sometimes you reach for that 382, you don't get to it, and that's actually a more bullish thing than not, right? It's not. Some people might look at this and say, oh, it's an unfulfilled thing. It needs to reach this before it moves higher, and that could be true. But perhaps there were a lot of people who wanted to buy at this area. There's so much buying pressure that you couldn't even get there. It's what they call front running. That's actually a very bullish effect if it remains true. Nonetheless, regardless of how this might play out, I certainly do expect you're near your lows, if not at your lows already, right? If you were to go a little bit lower than this, 24 cents, it's not going to kill you. You're at 32 cents now. Dogecoin can recover miraculously from there, right? And it probably will, if not from here. I do think, I was looking at this on the ribbon here, and I want to go over some stuff real quick, just looking at the price. We look at the price here on a daily perspective. You've gone below the ribbon, and your ribbon is tightening up right now, right? It's tightening up. Generally speaking, when it tightens up like this, you're below it. As soon as you see a move up above the ribbon, that's when you get that next explosive move up. And we'll go through and find some examples of that, right? That would be at about 37 cents. So if Dogecoin gets to, let's say, 36.9 cents, that's when you know that this is the low for sure, and that's also when you know that it's time to get going, right? Time to do some Dogecoin things and make some sick gains in a very short amount of time. I want to show you what I'm talking about on another perspective here, right? So here you're going lower, right? Here I'm talking about you're up, the yellow line's on top, the red line's on the bottom. Here you are up above the ribbon, you move below it here, and your ribbon starts contracting, right? And then what we're talking about is a move that would shoot you in the same direction that you came into the ribbon with, right? So with that in mind, we go back here. This is to the opposite effect, this is to the downside. You're moving down now. You moved up above the ribbon instead of below it. You're contracting in the ribbon, and now what you did after it contracted, you shot down to the downside, right? Same idea, just opposite, right? Instead of up, we're talking about downside. If we are on a more bullish trajectory, let's try and find something like that that might agree with what I'm saying. Ooh, we might have to go back to the bull market, the last bull market, because Dogecoin was so boring for a while there. Let's go, keep going. Here we go. No examples of it really here. I mean, kind of, right? You're tightening the ribbon. You're not below it, but you are tightening it. Once you get above the ribbon, you start to see some immaculate growth. Nothing really last cycle to compare it off of. That's okay though, kind of like this, right? Kind of like this move actually. You're above it, you got the ribbon crossed, you move below the ribbon, you're tightening the ribbon, and then once you get above the ribbon, once you close above it like that, you have a nice powerful move up to higher highs, relatively speaking. That's all I'm trying to say, is that right now, if I can get to the damn price, right now, you're contracting your ribbon, you're below it. When it comes time to getting above it, it's literally going to propel you to higher highs. And where are those higher highs going to come in? That's the real question that I've been trying to get to this whole time, right? Those higher highs, likely, if this is your low, and I think it is your low, those higher highs would come in anywhere from like 57 cents to 70 cents. That's just your primary target zone. If you get to your secondary target zone, which I very much do believe you will by the end of January, that could be anything from about 83 cents to $1.30. 83 cents to $1.30 by the end of January could be what we're dealing with Dogecoin here, and that's what all this that's what all this stuff means, right? You're at 32 cents now. That's immaculate growth. I'm expecting anything from like a 2x to a 4x for most coins on average over the next month, right? Probably more likely a 2.5 to like 3x really. You know, if you saw the beginning of this or the end of this primary zone, that's about a 2x there. The beginning of the secondary zone is about a 2.5x. That 2272, that's at about a 3x there, 3.2x. And then that's at about a 4x, kind of the limits of what I would expect, all the way at $1.30 there. So any and all of these targets for Dogecoin are accomplishable by the end of January. My genuine expectation would be that you're probably close to $1, but not above $1 by the end of January. I shouldn't say that. You could be above $1, but just not too far above it. The highest I'd give you is $1.30, but I really like this $1.05 zone. I really like this 80-90 cent to $1.05 zone personally. So I definitely do think you're going to move up higher. We look at the 3-day RSI. I like this bouncing off of the 50 area, kind of an area that you're familiar with. You could go a little bit lower. Weekly RSI, I think it's fine, totally fine. Trying to find other examples of similar stuff that we're doing here. Nothing, but that's okay. I mean, you could move lower Dogecoin, but if you do, even if you do, again, 24 cents would be the lowest I see you going to, and that would just bring you back to these previous highs. You find support at previous areas of resistance, and you move up, but I don't think you do. I think you find support here and continue to move up. So I think I've said everything I need to say. I don't want to say anything else. You know, we look at the weekly time frame. You pulled back to your weekly ribbon bounce there. That's a really strong move in itself. Monthly ribbon looks very bullish. The daily ribbon, of course, we've got some high hopes for. And then just the price action overall, I think it looks pretty damn good. So calling for targets around, you know, anything from like 80 cents to $1.30, more specifically around $1 by the end of January. I think this move, if the ribbon is to be taken more like seriously, I think this move begins this week, right? It's the 24th of December right now. I think it begins sometime over the next like 6 days, and probably over the next 3 days. You know, we'll see this move come up. But Merry Christmas, everybody. It is Christmas Eve. I just thought about that. So hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.